There it is.
De Breaking News. Mira, ahorita muy además un capítulo más. Y hoy estamos martes 8 de la noche. Pero, Arturo, ¿cómo estamos hoy? Cuéntamelo.
¡En vivo! We are live.
Hoy estamos live aquí y el episodio de esta noche le pusimos Having a Beer with Jeremy Kosmicki. ¿Quién es Jeremy Kosmicki? El maestro cervecero, el head brewer, el brewmaster de nada más y nada menos de la emblemática cervecería Founders Brewing Company. Bienvenido, Jeremy. How you doing, Jeremy Kosmicki? Welcome to
the show,
News.
Jeremy.
What's up, everybody? I'm doing so good.
Yeah,
Glad to be
Awesome,
here.
man.
Good to see you all.
Thank you so much for taking the time. It means a lot to us. We've always been big fans of your beer, and it's just
Big
awesome
fan of the
to
brewery,
just be able to have a beer and chat for a bit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and open up. I'm gonna start with I'm gonna go big. I'm gonna do the porter.
Love it. Jay's up there.
And have the new one.
Yeah, nice. What do you think of that? You got into that yet, Arturo?
Yeah, it's very refreshing. It's like it's the sister of the all day. It's like
It's one of the newest additions here in
it's more
PR
subtle,
from the
it's
Founders
more-
line. So
It's prettier.
we're loving it.
Yeah.
It works for this weather. So, Jeremy, let's just get right into it. Like, how did you start? How did you get into brewing? How did you get into this amazing industry in the first place? What's your background?
Wow. Well, right place at the right time is how I like to describe it. I was so probably venture back to 1990 mid 90s.
the grunge era.
Right. The grunge is in. I'm trying to start a rock band, and I'm at the store and I'm starting to see these weird bottles on the shelf, right? Because I was, I don't know. I drank beer when I had to, but I didn't really have a passion for it, of course, right? I was drinking malt liquor because I was poor and I needed to get a buzz. So I started to see, and it started simple with Sam Adams and even we'd start to see some Bell's beer around our cousin down in Kalamazoo, and man, I just took an interest to it. We tried some. I was like, God, that's really got some interesting flavors going on, and it's exciting. And very soon we bought our own homebrew kit. You could find it on the internet, and they would deliver it to your house. And I wasn't even 20 years old yet, but it didn't matter. And having fun with it. And I don't know, me and my friends, we entertained our friends, and maybe saved a little money, but at least had some fun with it. And I thought I had a knack for messing around with recipes, and I thought I had good taste. I liked I could pick apart a beer and what I liked or didn't like about it. So, fast forward a couple of years, and I find myself unemployed. It's kind of desperate, and my girlfriend, my now wife, she was like, "Why don't you go down to Founders and apply?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't really like Founders." At the time, their beer was pretty good, but it wasn't blowing my mind, and I liked Bell's, and I was like,
So Buzz was your dream. Your dream job. Awesome.
Yeah, I was really into just that thick mouthfeel, that huge use of all your specialty malts and these newer hop varieties. I don't know. I really just appreciated what they did. Huge inspiration. But anyways, and I forced myself to go down there to take an entry-level job. I was just a home brewer. I had no brewing experience. And they hired me on the spot to work on the packaging line, which was just putting empty bottles on the conveyor belt, and then you take them off at the end and you stuff the case boxes and you glue it shut and stack the pallets. And you did that a couple days a week, and found some other odd jobs to stay involved. And it just kind of started to snowball from there. Started taking on more responsibility, became assistant brewer. Our head brewer left a couple years after that, and I was just next man standing. And 20 years later, here we are. I've learned a lot along the way, and a lot of love and respect for this industry and all the people involved in it.
So when you, if I'm not mistaken, when you first started at Founders, you sort of went at the same time with Nate Walser, right? Which was the New Holland brewer, and like you were going, the Founders was going, like you mentioned, through some sort of tough times. It was a rough point. What do you think was were you and Nate the key to turning things around and getting people to really, start making some kick-ass beer? And
we definitely had the beer in mind, and Nate and I had been friends, and we started homebrewing together long before we got into the business. He went to New Holland, which was awesome, and then got into Founders, and he was a head brewer as an assistant, and that was the period where we really started to change a lot of the recipes and started to make more flavorful, in your face beers, not just when Mike and Dave started, I think that they were told you got to have your pale ale and your amber ale and your wheat beer and a lager, and that's just what consumers want. Well, at this time, in the year 2000, there was enough demand that you could come out with a beer like a breakfast stout or a Red's Rye or a Dirty Bastard and really get people's attention with that. So we provided those kind of beers, but kudos to Mike and Dave. I remember thinking, Rick Suarez, what's up?
Suarez, yeah.
Rick is a great pal of us, and I know he knows you, so he was excited when he knew we had you on the show. So
everyone loved Rick Suarez.
Classic.
Yeah, so we wanted to make cool beers for our tap room. That's what me and Nate had in mind, was to make a cool tap room, make a place where people want to come and drink new, different beers, because that wasn't happening before that. But Mike and Dave had the idea to I want to put these beers in bottles and send them out to the world. And I was like, what, really? That's not what I had in mind. Because some of these beers were, breakfast stouts are it's a pain in the ass to make, right? Here I am. I'm steeping coffee. There's all kinds of shit going on. It's not a production style beer that you would want to grow to, thousands and thousands of barrels. But here we are. And those are the kind of things that put us on the map. And it kind of turned the direction of the company around. And it was years and years before we really started realizing climbing out of the hole we were in, but we could tell that good things were happening. We had people that were into it. There was passion, there was excitement, and those were really good times.
So
I've always loved your slogan, like you brew what you want to drink. I've always thought that's the best,
I think that is the every brewer says that when they're opening a brewery or is a head brewer. You have to brew something that you like to drink. So if that is the passion.
Yeah, that way, and what an amazing opportunity for a guy like me, a home brewer with no schooling or training, but to be able to walk in with some recipes and learn on the spot and craft my passion while getting paid and helping a company of some really good people that deserve to have some success. So it was just amazing to be part of the whole thing.
So Jeremy, when you became the head brewer, do you have more freedom to create or experiment new kind of beers before? That
was always, as soon as we got hired.
We're gonna change everything.
I feel like it was like that. It was like that. We started number one priority was to fix the IPA, right?
Yeah.
That was all of me and my friend's favorite beer, and Founders IPA was good. It was just kind of moderate, approachable, and we wanted to
This is gonna top the notch. It's gonna. You wanna put some distortion.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more distortion.
We need to step on that overdrive for sure. So, we revisited a few things like techniques, dry hopping techniques, and rates, and and that was job number one. And I think that once we got that in line, and then we started making some other different ideas, all based on homebrew recipes. That was the key. That was where it was at, and there was no turning back.
Nice.
Beautiful.
What size of brew house did you have when you start? What brew house do you have now?
Yeah. Actually, we still have the original brew house. So these guys had a 30-barrel brew house, which is it's a big brew house for a startup company. Like these guys are planning on going for it. They wanted to be a production brewery, and go distribute with it.
Big. Yeah, go big.
So now that brewery is that's my R&D brewery now. That's just a testament to how awesome our tap room is in the city of Grand Rapids, because I can brew on that thing once or twice a week, and that just brewing like special, unique R&D innovation beers and having those beers on tap plus all our portfolio beers, that seems to keep our tap room satisfied with enough volume and variety to keep it cool. We still have that brew house, and we have 3 different 80-barrel brew houses, 100 hectoliters.
Wow.
And then the big one, we finally got a 300-barrel, so 10 times the size of our original brew house. And that was kind of that all-day IPA, and that's what made that happen.
So you're gonna get the best of your pilot to brewing the big one. You have to perfectionate the beer or the recipe.
Yeah.
Because if you do a bad batch in the 300s,
don't want to mess that one up. So you guys are running 30 barrel.
Even that 30 barrel, if I do something bad on that, that's still a lot of beer to dump. So I actually have in the plans, in the CapEx plan, something even smaller. Oh, and actually we have a place in Detroit too, where I have a little 4-barrel brew house there. So that's kind of a stepping stone too for us.
Pilot system.
The real pilot system.
Go for it.
So the experimental ones are the ones that go to the tap house, right? And you get the information of the customers. This is nice, and then you go big in that one, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we track that all. With customer feedback, with velocity, how quickly it sells through. But yeah, all ideas start in there, and then things catch on. Or that was the old way. The old way was the organic way, where you're just putting beers in the tap room, and something starts to take off. Well, shoot, let's try putting that in bottle and sending it out to the world. The industry doesn't really work like that so much anymore. It's a lot more like structured, and you kind of got to go after something. So, we have a lot more, sales and marketing, checking the industry and trends, and it's a lot more. Our innovation is getting more focused, I suppose. I mean, we still will make beers for the tap room, just for fun and to see what happens, but that's not where we're like relying on everything to come from now. So, when our marketing team looks at the industry and they're like, we need this thing is going to happen or is happening, we need a beer like that. So then I turn my attentions to creating what I think these people want. So that's a new avenue for me, but I do enjoy it. I enjoy taking other people's ideas and then kind of bringing it to life and being like, is this what you're thinking about? Because I think this is pretty good. And then, we compromise and go from there.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, arguably your greatest creation, or probably up there since you started at Founders, is the amazing all-day IPA, which we all love. Probably, I don't know if it was the first session IPA, but it's certainly to a lot of people, that's like the thing that started going.
This is the benchmark. The benchmark. Benchmark. This one is the benchmark.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you got to creating that beer? What made you want to do something more sessionable?
Yeah, for sure. So, like I said, we love hops. All my friends love hops. Everybody that works there loves hops. Almost everybody. I'm generalizing, but you know how it is. And so here we are when, we're all drinking Centennials, because Centennial was our IPA. That's all we had. Except unless you wanted a double IPA. I think we had Double Trouble at the time, but either way, Centennial at 7+% alcohol, that just catches up with you, man. It really does. And especially if you're working and I'm having a lunch with this guy, we're going to have Centennial, maybe another one after that. Now I don't feel like going back to work, and I'm not getting anything done. And it was affecting everybody. It really was. So we wanted to be able to capture the essence of the beautiful American hops, and enjoy what we love to drink, but kind of make it last. Rick just sent out Endurance there. That was the original name of the beer. It was Endurance IPA.
Oh, for real? Nice.
Yeah.
He's got the
Marathon
inside.
IPA,
He's got the
Marathon
inside story.
IPA.
Right. So I set to work on that, and that was kind of fun. That was back in the late 2000s, and there was no gun to my head. There was no race to the shelf. There was no hurry, do this before the fad runs out. So I spent a long time kind of just dialing that recipe in, because it was not an easy recipe either. It's not an easy style, and I've seen a lot of session IPAs come and go, and I feel like they just didn't put enough time into that recipe development, because it really takes the perfect balance of a malt bill that's going to leave you with some implied mouthfeel, not too dry, but also can't be cloying at all. You're not going for that. The bitterness has to be in balance, but you got to feature the aroma. And honestly, it took me a lot of tries to really get it. But once I got it, I said, that is it. And
that's the one.
I don't think we knew what it was going to become, but we were certainly thought that was the beer for us, and it was right beer at the right time. That was when I think a lot of other people were thinking like we were thinking, and man, we need something like that right now. And yeah, it was. Here we are.
How many batches behind these recipes?
Oh man,
Too many.
It was. I think the official story we settled on for marketing purposes is 20 times. I wasn't really. Wow.
But it's definitely one of the most. It's super delicious, and you don't really feel like you're having a session beer. It's like a lot of these session IPAs that you have. What you were saying, they're super thin, and they almost end up sort of being cloying because they just taste like water with hops. It doesn't really, This just tastes like boom. I'm having a beer, but you're not gonna.
Yeah, the hazy. I think the session IPAs is the most difficult style to do, because you have to balance everything, and you have to make a beer that is flavorful, that has the balance of the hops, the aroma, and they have a nice mouthful, because so many beers, session beers are so thin. It's like drinking,
at least to make a good one.
It's like drinking a hop tea.
It's like drinking Coors Light.
Hop tea.
Hopped up Coors.
For you homebrews out there, I'll give you a little tip, is that this beer is made up of almost half. It's only half like 2-row base malt. The other is just packed full of adjuncts: corn, oats, wheat, all those things. Like it ferments dry still, but the implied mouthfeel is there, so that it doesn't feel like there's like you're describing. That's really the key. Embrace those adjuncts when you're doing these kind of beers, guys.
Nice.
So we already been talking about the all day, but you recently have take out this new baby right here.
It's sister, right?
Yeah, the sister. I was drinking it, and I find this citrus like a monster taste. Well, there is a hop of you, or you put that agents or something like that, or it's a
orange
something
peel,
that you can
or
tell. That's something that you can tell.
The secret.
It's a secret.
I don't know. I'm not sure I'm ready to talk about that yet.
It's like maybe a Belgian wheat beer, but it's more American.
It's like drier American, yeah.
Yeah, drier. It's not that hazy, but have that citrus thing, like with Belgian wheat.
Yeah. So this beer came about. I've always been asked by our sales team to have a real summer seasonal. You know what I mean? Our seasonals to this point have just been like a rotating whatever collection of beers, right? With no regard for season whatsoever. So they're like, man, if you could give me a wheat beer, I could go after all those Blue Moon handles and those Oberon handles, of course, here in Michigan. So and I put it off a while because wheat beer is not my favorite style to drink on, but sometimes you got to embrace that. Sometimes you got to think outside. I know our slogan used to be, "We brew what we want to drink." Well, that meant what I want to drink, and now it's like, okay, I can think about some other people too. We're trying to bring more people into the family, right? So, and I like a challenge. If I can make something that I don't traditionally like, but I'm pretty proud of, that's a win for my.
Yeah, it's a very refreshing. Here in Puerto Rico, this you can drink like a six pack in maybe in 15 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. This is like yeah, it's a 4.6 beer.
Yeah.
It's
What
very
percent
light.
of what percent of
Very-
alcohol?
4.6.
4.6.
It's
Yeah,
very rich.
All day is 4.7, and this is 4.6.
I wanted to keep it in the family. They thought it would
Yeah.
be a good
The
opportunity
sister,
to
the little
to
sister, the
take
little
that
sister.
to take that all day brand that people recognize and see what we can do with it. And actually, I saw this can before,
It's
this
beautiful.
can design before I had made the beer, so I kind of used that as an inspiration even. And I'm thinking
Oh,
about
nice.
what does this say to me? I'm thinking about the beach. I'm thinking, what do I want to drink on the beach? Soft, something weedy, not too thick though. If I'm just going to be a session beer, if it's going to be called all day, it's going to have some characteristics that are synonymous with what I believe is to be all day, and that's an easy drinking mouthfeel, not too dry, not too cloying, a balance of, and instead of featuring like some cool hops, I got that citrus angle. You don't have to put the orange in your vacay because it's it's got that.
No, you don't need it right here. You don't need it. Yeah.
It's good though because it's like super delicate. At the end, it's not. It's I found it pretty good. When I first saw you guys post that on Facebook, the little wagon on the beach, I was like, damn, I don't know what's coming, but it's probably gonna be. If it has to do with all day, it's gonna be good.
So the citrus is from the hops.
There are citrusy hops in there too, for sure.
Secret,
It's a
George.
secret, man.
Oh man. So
One of the things we were gonna ask, I don't know if Jorge was gonna ask that. In talking about hop strains and beers, and I know you guys changed your harvest ale. Is it the same thing? Is it the same strains every year, or do you guys use different hops?
Different hops every year. So the beauty of harvest ale is that I've kind of found that when you're using wet hops, man, they're all are really, really good. I think everybody can grow a good hop. They can get a little there. The variation mainly comes in your drying and your processing. But we've had good luck using all different kinds of wet hops. And so when we had to move it to a production scale, it became more of, listen, we got a schedule. We got to make harvest ale and get it on the schedule. And you can't wait for whatever hop variety you're after to be ready and then try to reschedule the brewery around it. So that's how we kind of got going down that path. And the beautiful thing is that Michigan hop growing has really become a viable industry, and they're doing a great job. Producing hops specifically, and this is a good volume for me. If I need a couple hundred to a couple thousand pounds, I can get them delivered right away, right after they pick them. Like when I started making this beer, I would have to get them shipped from Yakima, and it's insanely expensive, first of all, to get, because they got to be refrigerated, they got to be overnighted. And then undoubtedly a couple boxes are going to get lost in the mail, and then they show up 2 days later and they're completely
messed up.
So buying local from Michigan has been really, really awesome for that beer.
Did you have any favorite years or memorable years, and what strains did you put in it that you were like, damn, this is extra delicious?
Yeah, hard to say. When I started, when everything was coming from Yakima, I was getting the boutique varieties, right? I'm getting citrus and Simcoes and mosaics and those are being proprietary. Those aren't grown in Michigan. So when I switched to Michigan, it was more your traditional Cascade Centennial. And then last year I used a kind of a newer Michigan exclusive hop called Paradigm, and that was a big featured hop in there, and I thought it came out great. So I'm not too worried. I think that we check on the hops, we give them a good rub on and check the vines before we commit to anything. But there's using good quality wet hops, as long as they're fresh off the vine, they're going to give you some variation, but some really cool character. And I like the idea that this beer can be a little bit different every year. That's kind of fun.
For sure. Yeah, it makes it even more fun. You're just waiting to, and in Michigan, are you getting traditional strains, or are they experimenting with new hops over there?
Yeah,
With the
yeah. So
local ones.
they do some. There's a breeding company here in Michigan, and a lot of this, the growers are embracing that and putting in some acreage and trying it out and growing the ones that are gaining some attention. So that's definitely happening, and I think that's a good path to go down for Michigan, because they're not going to be able to compete on the things that are being grown in Yakima. A Cascade from Yakima and a Cascade from Michigan they're just different. They're not interchangeable. And it's not to say that one is better than the other, but if I'm using, Yakima Cascades, I can't just sub in Michigan Cascades. It's not going to work. I either got to build a beer around it or better yet, why don't you grow something exclusive to Michigan that is interesting and we can get behind that. So I think that's kind of the direction it's going, and that's probably a helpful thing.
That's perfect.
Jeremy.
Right now,
Talking.
Arturo. right now, which is the founder's top selling beer?
All day IPA.
All day. Nice.
For sure.
Arturo.
Okay, so Jeremy, talking about the other beer that I love from you guys is the iconic breakfast stout.
Tiempo. Vamos a sorry. Let me just stop here, right here. Sorry, Arturo. Ahora vamos para el número 12 que dice giveaway. Yes, right now I'm going to change to Spanish. Sorry about that.
We had a couple of giveaways. We're gonna take a 5-second break for.
I'll drink some beer.
Yeah. So vamos a hacer ahora un giveaway. Arturo, ¿qué se va a ganar en el giveaway?
Oye, pero me dejaste ni hablar ahí. ¿Qué pasó?
Pero es que no sigues el rundown, bebé.
Pero que mira,
Tiene los premios.
Dale.
Los premios ahí.
Es que después la gente se me
No
va.
no se
It's
te va a
obviously
ir.
gonna be founders here for the giveaway.
Está buena la entrevista hoy.
Sí.
Ok. Tenemos estas cosas.
¿Qué se va a ganar la persona que se gana el giveaway, Arturo? Cuéntame.
Yes.
Un 6-pack de la All Day y un 6-pack de la Backcase se va a ganar. Pero es bien importante, tiene que ser mayor de 18 años, tiene que ser residente en Puerto Rico y tiene que pasar por las esquinitas al Jardín Cervecero a buscar su premio. ¿Y qué tiene que hacer para ganárselo? Pues no sé.
We still haven't decided what the people have to do to win.
Yeah.
We can let Jeremy. Maybe Jeremy has a quick pop quiz question or something.
Yeah. So Jeremy, shoot a question and bueno, esto tengo que aclarar. No necesariamente la primera persona que conteste es la que se lo gana, es la que escoge el señor director. So Jeremy, you can help us in the giveaway question.
Random founders fact.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll think of something. Do you need it right now?
Yes.
Right now?
You can think about it.
Shoot the question.
We can open our second beer while we get something going here. Let me. I found this in the fridge. I forgot I still had one, and I was like, if I'm gonna have it, I need to have it. That's the Mackinac.
The Mackinac, nice.
But if I'm gonna have it, I need to have it with the brewmaster himself.
Well, this is a great time. I wish I had one of those.
So, vamos para la preguntita.
Do it. So, since I just poured myself a KBS Mackinac, when did you guys? Founders has always been known for your barrel aging program is like legit is and beer, it doesn't even begin to describe the quality of beers you're putting out. How did you first start that barrel program, and when did you guys start?
That was actually pretty early on too. It started with we had been making breakfast out, so it was probably 2002, 2003. Nate ordered up a couple of bourbon barrels, and we were going to put some beer in it, and we decided on breakfast stout because bourbon breakfast seemed like it would go together all right. Threw those two barrels in the cooler for a year. I mean, we tried them every couple months, but it took about a year before they were ready. And wow, there was so much cool characters coming out of that. The base recipe wasn't quite right. We had to make some tweaks on it. We had to beef up the malt bill a little bit. It needed a little more body, a little more alcohol, and needed definitely more chocolate and coffee because those flavors kind of got a little bit lost during the aging process. But and then KBS was born. So I think the next year we got 4 bourbon barrels and we ramped up we made the KBS recipe. And the next year we did 8, and I think that was enough to actually like package it up and put it in some bottles and sell it to our store. Where of course they sat on the shelf and nobody bought it because this was 2004, and people are like, I'm not spending something dollars on a 4-pack of what in what.
So at the beginning, KBS was like whatever. It didn't really do that well.
It was probably a year or 2 before, but when it happened all of a sudden. Like I remember one year releasing the beer and there was a line around the building. We were all like, what happened? And it was the internet, man. It was the beer rating sites. It was Beer Advocate. It was Rate Beer. It had started word of mouth and grew into this thing where everybody had to come and get some. And then it was quite an amazing thing to be a part of.
So how many batches of KBS you already done? How many different variations?
So we just kind of got into the variations not too long ago. That's something I kind of pushed back on for a while. I'm just I'm a little I don't like gimmicks, and I don't like to try to just capitalize on something for the sake of and it seems inauthentic to me. But like I said, the industry is changing, and I have to change my mindset too to stay relevant. So I've embraced it, and I don't want to jump the shark too bad. Do you guys know what that means? Do you have a saying in Puerto Rico about jump the shark? So Happy Days, the series, right? And they've been doing the show too long. And one episode, and Fonzie's and he jumps over the shark, and everyone's like, what have you done? You've just gone too far. And so I don't want to get to that point, but I think we can pick a couple tasteful things. And I started with just kind of enhancing some of the flavors that are already in KBS, right? We started with espresso to feature the coffee. Then I did the Mackinac fudge to, feature the chocolate aspect of it. So I'm trying to not come out with, whatever. Candy, corn covered coconut.
No, I know.
I would just want to.
Although nowadays,
it's
pretty hard to go over
it's going hard with those styles. The industry right now is like candy store.
I don't think you're gonna be able to jump the shark nowadays because everybody. I mean, they're putting freaking like fried chicken into beer.
Yeah,
so.
They've already done it.
It's like making ice cream with beer and serving you with. Oh, it says another thing, man.
To each their own. If there's people that want to drink that, I totally appreciate it. It's just hard for somebody that's been in the industry 20 years to think that this is what people want to drink right now. Okay.
So since Jeremy just mentioned the first beer that they ever put into barrels, we can probably make that our first giveaway question.
Yeah.
Let's see who answers in the comments the first beer they put into. Because the thing is, I always thought it wasn't. It ended up being like a different recipe, right? I mean, we're not gonna mention it now because let's see who wins. But it wasn't. It ended up not being like just that same beer in barrels, right?
Nope. We had to amp up that recipe for sure.
Awesome. Whenever you put something in barrels, it'll thin it out the body, or.
Yeah, it does. It seems as it picks up the the alcohol and the tannins from the wood. It kind of takes away some of that a thicker mouthfeel, and which I like to a certain degree in barrel aged beers.
Had you guys done any other barrel beers like ever before that specific one, or was literally that the first attempt ever?
Yeah, that was our first try for sure.
Nice. I mean, it ended up with a pretty sweet result. So. You had a good base to start with.
Yeah, right beer at the right time again. And I feel like there got to be a point in time when we were making we were making a lot of it, but it was selling out really quick, and people were still lining around the building, and there was a lot of people that couldn't get the beer, and were complaining about it, and so I kind of led a charge to say, let's make some more of this beer. Listen, we've invested in our barrel handling operation, and we can handle this. We can make more of this beer. There's no reason in my mind to artificially restrict the supply to create this. We've had this beer for over 10 years now, and there's a lot of other barrel-aged beers out there that that have the hype, and people are. I guess I just thought there was more opportunity to make some more of it, get it out there, and get people as much as they want of it. A lesson for me is that no, people still like to chase trucks and beers that they can't get. In fact, if you make it to the point where they can go to the store and actually just buy it when they want it, then they don't want it anymore.
That's one of the things we were gonna touch on, because when you guys announced that, I was like, I thought this is gonna happen. I'm gonna quickly, for those watching the show, I'm gonna go ahead and ask in Spanish too. ¿Cuál fue la primera cerveza de Founders que metieron en barriles? Esa es la primera pregunta para el primer giveaway.
Ya saben, mayor de 18 años, pasar por la esquinita, residente en Puerto Rico, y se va a llevar 2 six-pack, uno de All Day y uno de All Day Backade, ¿verdad?
¿Cuál fue la primera cerveza de Founders que metieron en barricas de madera para empezar su programa de barrel aging?
Y no necesariamente la primera persona en contestar es la que se lo gana, y nadie ha contestado. Parece que está difícil. Mira, Google it. Don't worry.
so Jeremy, doing the hype thing, what you were saying, I was like, damn, as soon as I saw KBS is going to be a year-round beer, the first thing I thought is these angry beer nerds, like Bourdain said, they're going to go mad. And did it really happen? Like, did you see people annoyed because now I can get it too easily? Or
I mean, you read it in the comments, but those people are always the most vocal people, and I think ultimately that it's good to get that beer into more people's hands. And after 10 years, what are you gonna do? You're gonna keep artificially creating this hype around the beer. We can make enough of it. We can. I built an entire facility to do barrel aging. So to be oh no, I'm sorry, there's not enough KBS for you. I mean, that seems really disingenuous to me. I feel like we should, if you want it, get it. Go to the store and buy it. There's plenty of other beers out there that are can be the hype beers. That's fine. And we'll keep inventing beers. I got new barrel aged beers coming out every year, and those can be new hype beers too. But it's like KBS had run its course. It was time for it to, and the fact that it still has some, has consumer hype and appeal after all these years with all the other beers that have come out since then, I feel pretty good about that. I think it's in a good spot.
Nice.
So
it's a beautiful beer.
Yeah. It's like the people here. It's like the people in line to buy the beer when they came out. It's like, I have one. I have two. Buy some from me. Join line and buy some from me.
Right.
In Puerto Rico, it still is kind of hyped because we don't get barely any. If we do get that year, but for sure, I mean, and I appreciate you guys just expanding on that, and not only expanding but keeping the quality, because that's the most important part. I mean, if you start to see it now it's super mass produced and it doesn't taste the same, but at least the last ones have been freaking delicious. So for sure that's and I believe we have a winner. If I'm not mistaken, we have a winner over here, Fernando Alvarez.
Fernando.
So the first beer you ever put in barrels, breakfast stout, and we were talking about, it didn't end up being exactly breakfast stout, but that was the OG. So Fernando, felicidades.
Ya sabes,
Jorge.
Lo que tienen que hacer es pasar por la esquinita a buscar el premio, Arturo. ¿Cuándo las vas a llevar allá para que él pase por allá a buscarla?
Bueno, quizás paso este weekend por ahí. Las dejo allí.
Ya mismo, ya mismo.
Pues pasado
Ya mismo.
desde el sábado, pasa por allá el sábado y van a estar ahí disponibles el sábado.
Ya.
Allí pasa por la esquinita. ¿Desde qué hora están abiertos
Estamos de 3 a 9 miércoles y jueves y 3 a 10 p.m. viernes y sábado. Así que ahí estarán las beers esperando a Fernando.
Fernando, felicidades.
Jeremy, talking about the breakfast stout. I am a graphic designer, and one of the best labels that you have are the one of the breakfast stout. But in 2015, you have some issues with that label. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So there were two states that decided that after all these years, that label was not actually in compliance, and one of those states actually happened to be our home state of Michigan. So.
Oh man!
Wow!
Damn, man.
Yeah. So the little kid, you have to go. The label.
We did. We had to get rid of the kid, and I think we replaced him with a little note with a phone number to call. We had a lot of fun with that, and I think it was less than a year later that the states looked at it and were like, "Oh, okay, actually, we'll work it out," and we were able to bring the baby back.
So that's a collection item, right? Those labels.
Oh yeah, if you got one of those labels without the baby, that was a very.
I think I had one, and I don't know what I did with the bottle. But,
oh man!
But it's one of the best responses I've seen to something. Like you guys, like you took the cool route and said like, okay, fuck it, let's. And the note, actually, if you called the number, it literally had like a recording on there, right? I don't remember what it said, but
I don't either. But yeah, you'd hear Matthew message too,
and then you had the Canadian part, the Canadian breakfast stout, which the writer disappeared at some point from the horse. So you've had, and now I believe that was an issue with the Canadian like mounted police or something, right?
It's true. They very nicely reached out to us and asked if we could remove their likeness from the bottle. It was alcohol and the police. I don't know. They didn't feel right about it. So no problem here. We'll comply.
And people online started saying like, "Oh, he had too much to drink and he fell off the horse." I mean,
so many jokes. Yeah, so many jokes.
See, Jose is saying, I think that Spain only has the bowl and the spoon. Maybe Spain still has it like that.
Maybe they're drinking some old bottles out there in Spain. Fortunately, that beer holds up pretty good. So
yeah.
Saludos, cerveceros, craft beer.
Saludos. Seguimos.
Sí, Jorge.
Do you have a separate facility for brewing beers headed to the barrels? So.
Yep. So years ago, we were kind of running out of room where we were storing these barrels, and we needed to expand on our cooler space and our warehouse space anyway. So we leased another facility, mainly for the storage of it, but we also put a brew house and fermenters and a packaging line in there. So rather than trying to move barrels from facility to facility, we could just brew the beer there, put it into the barrels, age the barrels there, empty the barrels, and package that beer all in the same facility rather than moving back and forth. So that's our barrel house. That's super active these days. We talked about KBS going year round. Well, Backwoods Bastard is also year round, and we also have another half a dozen different barrel aged beers every year coming out every year. So it's they stay busy over there. We have up to 20,000 full barrels of beer at any given time. It's a lot to manage, but yeah, we've been at it a while, and we got a fairly good handle on it.
Do you guys still have I don't know if this is beer lore, but you guys used to age your barrels in basically an old gypsum cave?
That's true.
I mean, that's the coolest barrel aging story ever.
Grand Rapids gypsum mines down below 100 feet below the surface there. Used to mine gypsum. That kind of ended back in the 50s, and it's just been kind of dry storage since then. But it was a perfect spot for us to start doing barrel aging. It's temperature controlled, it's humidity controlled. They had the space. We didn't have the space at our place to do barrels, so that was a great relationship. Eventually we kind of outgrew that too, and we still keep barrels down there. And then we keep barrels there. We keep barrels at the barrel house. We actually have another spot where we keep barrels too, but it's just we kind of designed the barrel house to mimic the caves and the fact that it's the same temperature and humidity that we always age stuff at. So there was no real difference other than the fact that it's super cool to go 100 feet below ground and check on these barrels.
So do you do a tour to the cave?
A tour to the cave.
Occasionally,
we can go there.
If you guys came and visited me, I would take you down there.
Gonna write that down.
Yeah,
Gypsum caves have a bunch of cool beer history in them, probably.
Right.
So, Jeremy.
Perdona que
Otra vez, man.
Gírate, bebé. No. Saludos, Geraldine. Gracias por gracias a Bebé Fernández. Gracias por el apoyo. Gracias por darnos las cervecitas para hacer el giveaway. Más que agradecido. Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Arturo, perdóname, disculpa, perdóname, bebé, te quiero.
Me debes dos pibes ahora.
Bebé, te llevo van unas sorpresitas por ahí, o sea que tranquilito, bebé.
So, Jeremy, I think Founder is one of the best breweries that make beers with chocolate. Okay, I am a home brewer, Kike is a home brewer, and Jorge is a home brewer. Any tips for the home brewer, for us, to work with chocolate in the beer? Because so many people have issues with the head retention. They use real chocolate and have a fudge. These problems with that ingredient. What tip you can do or you can tell us about brewing with chocolate?
Sure. So there's varying levels of chocolate. Like if you're talking about the chocolate level of a breakfast stout, which is, to me, I find it chocolatey, but it's not like in your face chocolate. Mm-hmm. It more kind of goes with all the other flavors. So that all is done on the hot side. We melt the chocolate. What you don't want to do probably is boil that chocolate. So
okay.
During the boiling of the kettle, before it gets to a boil, we will side stream some of that wort, melt up the chocolate, and then put it back in after the boil is done. So the chocolate doesn't sit there boiling. To me, that doesn't seem like that would treat the chocolate very well. And then for the chocolate that we use there, it's a blend of some bitter, sweet, and what is called chocolate liqueur. So these little discs, and they're not sweet at all, but it's just like cocoa, intense. And I think when you're doing that, you're not using those two things. You're not going to get a lot of milk fat in there.
The oils in there.
Those oils, which are going to really mess up your head. But you get that, that subtle, rich, deep chocolate character to it. So beers like breakfast stout, that's how we've gone. Other beers like Big Lushes. Did you guys get Big Lushes down there in Puerto Rico?
That was the one with the raspberry, right? Yeah.
Chocolate raspberry stout. So that thing was, and that was just a case of I found this all natural, basically chocolate syrup that we sweetened the beer with at the end, and I don't know. Everybody was like, "Oh, diabetes!" But every brewer in the States making these pastry stouts that are like 10 times sweeter than I hear.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So
like a drink in the world.
So you add the chocolate on flame out. You flame out and then add it.
You're basically melting it with before you even get it to a boil.
Exactly. Yep. So melt it with the hot wort before it boils, and then pump it back into the kettle at the end of the boil, or into the whirlpool, or whatever you're doing there. But just so you don't boil it, just so it melts, gets into suspension, and then the sugars that are in there will ferment out, but it's going to leave a lot of the chocolate cocoa flavor behind.
That's a pretty good idea. I really never thought you guys. I thought you guys were literally dumping it into the kettle, but that's pretty smart to do it, because chocolate tends to break and like
Yeah,
get all
those
those
big lumps,
fatty, oily
yeah.
stuff all it. So
Yeah, and I think as you boil it, you're gonna probably pull even more oils out of there, and plus
Yeah.
you're gonna drive off all those beautiful chocolatey aromatics that are
Mhm.
mentioned too.
and you did say brewing breakfast stout was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think about it. I got these two different kinds of chocolate that I'm trying to side stream wort and melt, and same with the coffee in that beer. I don't boil that coffee either, so I want to take some really hot coffee, some really hot wort, steep the coffee in that too. So I got two different vessels. I got the chocolate vessel, I got this coffee vessel. Not to mention it's a 20 Plato beer, so it's plenty of grain to deal with.
Big, yeah.
It's a huge mess. Yeah, how stout it is. It's all over the floor and
Yes, yeah. It's
sticky.
sticky, yeah.
So, what do you think about the new trends of the in the beer industry, the NAPAs, the hazy, the slushies, the stouts, like you say, the pastry stouts? What do you think about that? What is your call?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm gonna sound like the old guy now, right? But let me just start that conversation by saying, when I first my first trip to the Extreme Beer Festival, which is in Boston, right? This was back in the early days, mid 2000s. Extreme beer, right? And man, we dominated that thing because we were like the extreme brewers in the mid 2000s. I had breakfast out there, and I remember watching Jim Cook from Boston Beer go up to my table, and I was like, oh my god, that's Jim Cook, and he drank some breakfast stout, and he kind of made a face at it, and kind of, I don't know, and then he set it down and walked away. I was like, oh man, really? But now I kind of feel like I'm the old Jim Cook, and I go around and these brewers with their pastry stouts and hazy IPAs, and I'm kind of like,
Oh, yeah. You became the old guy.
I don't know. Each their own, man. I think there's some really cool things out there. I'm just a fan of balance, right? And whatever you're doing, you can go extreme with your flavors. You want to get crazy with hops, I love it, but you got to do something to balance it in there. Make me want to have that, second, third, fourth sip of it. I'm not into things that just taste crazy for the sake of tasting crazy. I really want to, not too sweet, not too bitter. Can't we just feature things but still maintain a balance to the point where you're trying to make something that's actually drinkable? So
yeah, the taste like beer too. It's like
but Jim Cook is probably kicking himself right now. He's like, damn, I should have offered Jeremy a job that day. Would have had breakfast out of
he's doing just fine.
No, yeah.
But look what he's done though. Look what the industry is now, and here I am. I'm making seltzers too. I don't know. Do you guys get seltzer down in Puerto Rico? Do you get Founders Mas Agave?
Yeah, we have a local brewery that have a seltzers.
We get a couple of seltzers, but is Mas Agave like the regular one? That's not really a seltzer, is it? It's sort of like
it's Imperial Goza, right?
Imperial Goza.
In a confusing marketing twist, we named our new seltzer the same as that barrel aged.
For real? So that's a seltzer. Damn,
there's Mas Agave Premium Hard Seltzer, which is my stab at seltzer. It's just if you probably guess I don't really have a passion for seltzer, but hey, when the bosses say it's time to take a stab at this, give it my best effort.
But then I don't think we've gotten that last one, because the last one I saw was the grapefruit version. It was the bottle. It was like 10.5, 11% ABV. I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, that's
or 9 point something.
Yeah, no, that beer lives on. In fact, I just released a prickly pear version of that beer this year, so I hope you guys get some of that down there.
Yeah, so definitely we haven't gotten the seltzer in yet. We'll see if that. But yeah, at least for now in Puerto Rico, I'm not. I mean, I guess it all. I hope not, but I'm not seeing, at least in my bar, I'm not seeing a bunch of like seltzer. Like, Puerto Ricans love their beer.
Yeah,
and I'm like kind of proud whenever I sell them a beer instead of a seltzer, because I'm like,
I had to say something. I am the old guy in the seltzer.
No, you're not. You're not. You like everything.
Yeah, I know, but
since we're touching is there any old school Founders beer that you would like to bring back, like make it, remake it, or any other style that you would be you'd like people to get more into?
Yeah, well, for sure. There's all kinds of them. every beer I ever made, I was like, this beer could be a thing. And then when it's not a thing, you're like, oh man, it's gonna go away.
Yeah.
If I were to go way back, I mean, I remember we made when Nate was still working with us, we made a beer called American Black Ale, and it was just this kind of a lighter bodied. It wouldn't, not a porter or a stout, but kind of on the vibe of I guess like a Schwartz beer, something like that.
Such beer. Oh.
And I really thought that it has American hops in it. It was sessionable. It was fun. It was different. But sometimes different is too much, and I don't know. The world was ready for it, and I don't know. There's a long list of beers that I thought the world was ready for that just
like a PC pills.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Pilsner.
Yeah, before the show we were talking about that the PC Pilsner. That one did make it to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I tried it.
I drink it a lot. Yeah.
I think I drank half the shipment that I ordered from the distributor because it was freaking delicious.
It was the yellow can, right? That yellow bottle.
I think it
yellow,
made it in. Yeah, I think it made it in twice because I think we got bottles, and then we got
in bottles.
yellow cans.
Yep.
I remember a beer from Founders that was IPL, but it was, I think it was a 22.
Oh yeah,
it was great. I remember it was whoa. What I don't remember the name, but I think it was
called the Center.
Wow,
that was
amazing.
Really good. Yeah,
I liked that a lot too. That was when I thought. I mean, that was the start of it. That was like, oh my god, people aren't. First of all, people aren't making lagers anymore at all, but if you were to make a lager, what if you did like American hops and kind of play it off? I love the way, especially our house lager yeast that we developed, how it plays with these American hops and really just features them in different ways than the ale yeast does. I'm in love with it, and I'm waiting for the world to catch up.
that the Center probably would have done a lot better if it was in regular bottles or cans because it came in 750s. Yeah. Which a lot of people are like, damn, I don't want to, I got to share it. But it was like,
bring back,
crushable.
It's like the 22 bottles. It's like old school right now.
Yep.
And another one that we got, which I thought was delicious, was Trigo. I believe the name was Trigo.
Trigo.
Dude, that beer was really freaking good, and it was another like hot lager.
Yeah, there you go again. That one was like super heavy on the wheat. Obviously, Trigo. It was a wheat. Yeah, all my favorite hops, man. I thought that beer was great too. And there's, I don't know, nope, nobody caught on except us guys.
It's like the B sides. It's like the B side of the B side beers.
Yeah. Do it in the small batch and send it to Puerto Rico only. Don't worry.
Yeah,
for sure. And Rick Suarez mentioned Red Rye. And that's a classic. Did you guys discontinue that one, or is it still like probably in the tap rooms? Or
I was gonna, if it had to come down to a question, I was gonna ask you, what is the number one selling beer in Founders Tap Room on draft? Because it's usually Red Rye. That's
really bad.
It's an employee favorite. It's a beer that we kind of discontinued for good reason. That beer has a pretty terrible shelf life. I think it's a combination of the high percentage of rye and the Amarillo hops, and it's so good fresh that it 90 days later it's a shadow of itself, and we just weren't comfortable leaving it out of the market.
Amarillo hops is kind of tricky one.
Turns out
it's like
they maintain their integrity for all too long, at least by themselves. That beer just features Amarillo. So I use Amarillo still in combinations with other hops, and it seems to do well. But that one, we really wanted to control the shelf life. So we still do draft of it, and mainly for our own tap room, where, like I said, it's a cult following there.
I got to try some Red Rye that was I could tell was super duper fresh. So at least some made it to Puerto Rico when it was still, because you could really, that the freaking hops just blasted out of the glass, which
for sure. Jose Emilio dice
Mango Magnifico.
Mango Magnifico. Yeah, that's I love that beer.
I remember that one. That was the one with habaneros, right?
Spicy, have a spicy
mango.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a fun beer too. That was one of those beers that I didn't take any
I think I
pilot.
have one beer. Let me.
You still got one there? No
Just got
way.
one. Oh my
Está
god.
Mira, tengo que decir algo. Ahí está jodido ya. Pero nada. So,
Jose is drinking his last 2019 KBS.
wow.
Awesome. Cheers, Jose.
José Rosa, gracias por el apoyo y gracias por tu ayuda siempre. Agradecidos.
I have something here.
Let me see,
Yeah,
bebé.
yeah. That one of my homebrewer friends, my buddy, give me. I think it was a month ago. I went to his house and he's like, I have this beer for ages. Do you want it? You're like, yeah. I remember that beer. I can go. I can drink it.
Dale.
No way.
Oh, it's Sweet
Oh,
Repute.
Sweet Repute. Was that?
Kike,
What did that
Kike,
have?
gracias.
Pineapple?
That was a wheat wine.
A wheat wine, 12.6.
Aged in the
Eso fue
maple barrels. Is
Igadore.
that what it is?
Yeah, it was wheat wine aged in bourbon barrels.
Bourbon.
Bourbon maple syrup barrels.
Yeah, the maple syrup bourbon barrels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that was a fun beer. I'm a little nervous about that though. Don't open it in the air here. It might
Oh,
explode
man.
everywhere.
That's got a couple of years on it. Damn.
This is
So
a
Jeremy,
good beer.
what
Yeah.
like for homebrewers, like a homebrewer that says like, you know, I want to do this professionally. You have any advice for like nowadays homebrewer that wants to go pro?
Yeah, things are things are a little different than when I got in, when there was really nobody that knew what they were doing. Nowadays there's a lot of schools. There's a lot of people going to schools. I did some schooling after the fact. I had been in the industry a while, but they wanted to send me, down to the Siebel in Chicago, a great beer school. And I met a lot of cool people, learned some stuff that, as an untrained brewer, it was probably about time for me to learn about. So that was all pretty cool. A lot of people there were, had quit, guys that had quit their day jobs. Their wives let them quit their day jobs so they could go to brew school and learn how to brew. And I was like, oh man, I think that there's no replacement for the hands-on, right? Coming out of brew school, it's tough to say that this guy is ready to be hired to be a brewer. There's no replacement for getting your hands dirty and and those kind of positions. For the most part, I think that you can go to a brewery, and if you got a good work ethic and a passion, and you're going to show up every day and work hard. There's opportunities to do what I did, where you get in at the entry level, you learn about everything that's going on, and you'll naturally move up if it's meant to be. So I think that we almost had a thing at Founders for a while, because you know how it is. Every brewery operates differently, and everyone's got their own process and set of rules and what they think is acceptable. So, we have pretty high standards at Founders. I would almost rather take somebody that doesn't really know anything about brewing, bring them in and mold them from a clean slate to be the kind of brewer that we want, rather than coming in with your baggage and you think you know how to do something because I worked at this place and we do it this way.
Yeah, no.
I know how it is. I know how
it is. It's like you become the master brewer of Founders, beginning in the cannon line. It's like from the bottom.
Yep.
And you go up, and if you go to all those
steps,
you learn everything from time. And if you learn everything, you know how to resolve the problems.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was ideal. I honestly, when to run the bottling line and do warehousing and then cellar work, and I even had bar shifts. Right, I was working in the tap room too, just because that's what I needed to do, and all that experience, all that hands-on experience, goes a lot further than just what you can learn in school. There's a lot of valuable stuff that'll get you ahead of the game, but don't be afraid to kind of step back and take an entry level thing. Scrub floors at a brewery for a bit. Guess what? And that brewer sees you scrubbing floors better than he's ever seen anybody scrub floors. He's going to have more work for you to do.
Yes. Jeremy, future beers from founders are coming up. What can you tell us the breaking news? Breaking news. No, we aren't breaking the gossip.
This is breaking news.
This is breaking news.
Man, this is always the hard part of the job for me. It's like there's so many things going around in my head, and I'm thinking, when can I talk about this? So generally the rule is like, have you seen it on Facebook yet? That's when I can talk about it. So you tell me, what have you seen on Facebook lately that I can talk about?
Man.
Oh, I know. See, I don't have Facebook.
Good for you. It's a terrible thing.
So what was your last releases? I know that you have the hard seltzers that you're talking about.
So let me share a little bit about R&D, what we got going right now. Things that people are interested in are hazy IPA is apparently not going anywhere, despite my efforts to stay out of the game as long as I can.
You try.
I tried. I was like, just a fad. Here I am. So we have been playing around with that, and I'm happy with where we've landed. So we were putting them through the tap room. We did some small releases. There's probably some hazy IPA releases for us in the future. We're kind of seeing what's going on with this all day vacay thing. Is there any opportunity there in the brand in a branding of an offshoot of all day? Because there's plenty of sessionable beers that I would love to create. That's kind of my thing. I like either sessionable beers that you can crush a 15-pack of, or giant barrel-aged beers that you got to share. That's kind of where it's at for me.
You have to do the Christmas vacay, the Christmas edition.
We need the Christmas vacay.
For sure, that's a great platform to. I mean,
I do all
a bunch
day.
of offshoots of session beers.
There's opportunity. And like I said, all day has gotten to the point where some people, it's almost like equal with the founder's name, right? Some people just like, that all day. Oh, I didn't know that was founders. It almost has a brand of its own at this point. So It might be nice to kind of take advantage of that aspect.
So Jeremy, future plan for you? Do you have any future plan for yourself?
Oh man, I'm probably ready to retire soon or something. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
Come on, man.
I'm having a great time. So I'm overseeing R&D, and I might not like everything going on in the industry, but I'm going to do my best to do what's right for the company and try not to steer us down too many weird streets, and keep some integrity and still keep having fun, because at the heart of it, man, this industry it's about fun. It's about giving people a product that they can relate to, that they can it's different, it's inspiring, and I love the company I work for, and other than that, I don't know, playing rock and roll and raising a family, it's keeping me busy. So
have you?
We are in the golden age of the beer industry.
Definitely.
Oh my God! Right?
Yeah, it's like
Rick Suarez says Jeremy needs to visit Puerto Rico. I'm not gonna argue with that one.
I got to.
Yeah.
And earlier he said it'll be your tour guide. There it is. But I mean, since have you guys ever done I'm not sure, but have you guys ever done a collab with Bell's Brewing?
No, I don't.
That'd be pretty awesome. I was thinking
nice.
I just thought of that, and I'm like, damn. I mean, you obviously both companies respect each other, so that'd be freaking awesome if you could. Just saying, I'm just throwing that out there.
I'm sure that's come up. There's probably some politics in the way.
Too close. Kalamazoo, craft beer Puerto Rico.
If not, we can find a brewery in Puerto Rico and do the collab in Puerto Rico.
That sounds amazing.
Definitely.
That's my kind of collab. I go to Kalamazoo all the time. I'd rather go to Puerto Rico.
So we can say put a all day Puerto Rico vacay.
I love it. Who's some great breweries there in Puerto Rico? Who are you guys digging on?
I mean, there's like what, like a total of 11, maybe 12 now?
Yeah,
Oh, more. It's more like around 15.
no, but the big ones. There
Yeah,
are no big ones. It's like
the most well known, at least craft brewer is Ocean Lab.
yeah.
There in Carolina. I'd say
Saludos.
probably that's the most that people recognize, and you can
You
get
can
it
buy it
fairly
from
easily around the whole island right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're still. I mean, Puerto Rico is in diapers. There's so much to learn. There's so much room to grow here. It's like we're like 10 years or 12 years behind the states when it comes to craft. So there's still a lot of and there's a ton of really good homebrewers. I gotta say.
Yes.
Uh,
Ricky Craft Beer say 16. Did he say?
16 now.
15 brewers.
Man, and Rick
But
says
they're
Puerto
mostly-
Rico, no bad
Yeah.
days.
Mostly, most of
'Cause-
the brewers like a 2 bottle, 5 bottles.
Yeah,
it's like
small,
maybe
small,
it's
really
like
small breweries.
It's nano breweries, yeah.
Yeah.
So, before we go, antes de irnos, we have our second giveaway. Y no vamos a poder perder tiempo. El que escoja el señor director tiene que ser mayor de 18 años, pasar por la esquinita Jardín Cervecero a buscar el premio, vivir en Puerto Rico, etcétera. Esto es bien fácil, mira, y esto lo va a escoger el señor director. Entre los que están viendo ahora mismo en live, que escriban Founders, y el que escoja el señor director es el que ganó y se acabó. ¿Y sabe qué se va a llevar? Ponme el modelo,
Pues empiecen a escribir ahí.
Founders.
Un último comment. ¿Cuál es su cerveza de Founders favorita? Tírenlo ahí en los comments.
Y el que ponga escoja el señor director es el que gana. Mira, puede ser Founders, la cerveza, lo que quieran. Mira, ponchame Arturo, señor director.
Voy por ahí.
Mira lo que se va a llevar,
Yes. All Day Vacay y Regular All Day, eso.
Mira, ahí están escribiendo, están escribiendo por ahí para abajo. Escoge, señor director, el que tú quieras. Mira, están escribiendo.
Vamos a anunciar los próximos eventos y para darle break.
Exacto, para que sigan escribiendo.
Ahí.
Mira, pues ya gracias a todos por ver el episodio de hoy. Mira, y antes de irnos, pues queremos anunciar nuestros próximos inventos, nuestras próximas cosas que tenemos por ahí. Nuestro próximo live, pónmelo ahí, que sé que es el próximo lunes.
Por aquí.
En cambio de día es el próximo lunes, pero el problema es que este va a ser el próximo lunes a la 1 de la tarde. ¿Por qué es a la 1 de la tarde? En vivo a la 1 de la tarde, porque este va a ser con el maestro cervecero que se llama Gumer Santos, que es el maestro cervecero de Rochefort.
I don't know if that's the proper.
I don't know. How do you say it, Jeremy?
Maybe Jeremy can help us out.
You nailed it, man.
Rochefort. Ese día va a estar el Gumer Santos, que es el maestro cervecero, es mexicano. Vamos a estar hablando español directo. Él va a estar en Bélgica y nosotros por acá. No se lo pierdan. Va a ser lo único problema es que a la 1 de la tarde. Una hora de Puerto Rico para que en Bélgica es las 7 de la noche. Ya lo saben eso. Y luego de esto, después todo esto el lunes, después el sábado nos movemos al sábado, que tenemos el evento cumbre, el evento inventado por nosotros, que nos gusta inventar, y gracias a los colaboradores que dijeron, vamos a meterle, estamos con ustedes, gracias por el apoyo. De eso se trata, de unidad y compromiso, y si nos unimos más, somos más mejor. Este va a ser el Puerto Rico Brewers Road Trip 2021 Summer Edition. Es el 24 de julio. Nos vamos a encontrar en la esquinita Jardín Cervecero a las 10 de la mañana, donde vamos a visitar a la cervecería Cold Blood Brewing. Después vamos a Box Lab y terminamos en Rincón Beer Company. Por favor, lleguen a las 10 y esperamos a salir más o menos a las 11 de la mañana para la primera parada, que va a ser Cold Blood. Gracias a todas las cervecerías que nos dijeron que sí, y nos ponemos otra vez, que tengo que decir a los que no me acuerdo los nombres de todo. Gracias a los colaboradores, Homebrewers de Puerto Rico, Comunidad de Mujeres Cerveceras, Caribbean Brewing Homebrew Shop, Leche Coco Productions, Talking Craft Beer, Road to Craft Beer, Ricky Craft Beer. ¿Alguien más se me queda? Yo creo que ya los dije todos. Gracias, esperamos verlos el sábado 24 de julio. ¿Qué más tú dices?
La esquinita Jardín
Cervecero. Este es un evento traído por Breaking News y la esquinita Jardín Cervecero. los esperamos, por favor. Necesita a las 10 de la mañana, nos vamos a dar unos trancazos antes, pero con agua, Salomón. Unos trancazos de agua. Mira, de agua.
Jeremy, if you want to visit Puerto Rico July 24 and just go with us, that
will be great to the road trip. We are going to have a road trip to visit some breweries around the island. So esta vez vamos a visitar lo que es el noroeste. Esta es la primera edición, la edición de verano. Después venimos con otra, o sea que las otras cervecinas locales de Puerto Rico no se pongan celosas, porque también eventualmente vamos a llegar a ustedes. O sea, no se me pongan changuitos, o sea, que ay, no, porque no me visitaste. No, pero se los prometemos, esta es la primera edición, y después vamos a coger los de lo que será el noreste, después nos vamos para el sur, y después nos vamos para el centro también, con la que está en el centro, tú sabes cómo es.
y de aquí a allá van a abrir de seguro 2 o 3 más y los
Exacto.
Y seguimos añadiéndolo, o sea, seguimos por ahí para abajo. Y tenemos otro anuncio, todavía no tenemos el arte, pero queremos anunciar que el día, lo tengo por aquí, el 3 de agosto, el día martes 3 de agosto a las 8 de la noche vamos a estar celebrando que es el IPA Day, pero esta vez realmente el IPA Day cae el jueves 5 de agosto, pero vamos a estar celebrando nosotros el martes. Este día del martes es traído a ustedes por Lagunitas, que vamos a estar celebrando con la gente de Lagunitas el IPA Day, y van a tener unos happy hours alrededor de toda la isla. Ellos, gracias a Lagunitas por auspiciarnos, y gracias a Luis Miguel, te quiero mucho. Y Luis Miguel, acuérdate de los taquitos, bebé. Entonces, después de eso, mira, pam, pam, pam. Entonces ahí, mira, seguimos izquierda y derecha. De ahí corremos, pam, 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 pam. Hasta el 10 de agosto. Y ponchame, señor director. El 10 de agosto tenemos Having a Beer with Sam Caligione. Sam Caligione, tenemos que es el maestro, el fundador y el presidente de Dogfish Head Brewery. Esto va a ser el martes 10 de agosto a las 10 de la noche. Por favor,
a las 10, a las 8
de la noche, perdón. Espera, me confundí, disculpen. 10 de agosto a las 8 de la noche. Gracias por corregirme, perdonen. Es que yo de vez en cuando meto la pata.
Es que hay muchos anuncios.
Muchos anuncios. 10 de agosto, 8 de la noche. Martes 10 de agosto, 8 de la noche. Vamos a tener Having a Beer with Sam Caligione, el fundador y presidente de Dogfish Head. Ya lo saben, no se lo pierdan. Apunten las fechas, todas las fechas que anunciamos. Apúntelas y nos acompañan, y seguimos en Breaking News, Beer and Coffee. Ya saben. Vamos para atrás otra vez, señor director. Ya dije todos los anuncios, ¿verdad? Bueno, señor director, ¿y quién se ganó?
Vamos a ver. We gotta pick a giveaway winner. Let's see.
Que nunca se haya ganado algo, porque vamos a dar la oportunidad.
Vamos a ver. Tengo par aquí.
Andrés Cortés Santa se ganó el giveaway. Ya sabes, pasa por la esquinita Jardín Cervecero desde el sábado, porque Arturo va a ir, yo sé que baila antes, a dejar las cervecitas allí. Te vas a llevar un six-pack Double Day. Gracias, queremos agradecer nuevamente a la gente de B. Fernández por el auspicio y por ser parte de estos giveaway, y gracias en particular a Geraldine Figueroa por contactarnos, y quiero darle una mención honorífica a José Rosa. Gracias, José Rosa, por ayudarnos como siempre.
Sí,
¿Qué más podemos decir? Pero nada, antes de irnos, pues ahora vamos a decir nuestras social media. Now we turn to English,
Jeremy, where can we find more about Founders, social media, etc.?
And you?
Well, you can go to our website, of course.
So, Jeremy, to your social media, your Founders social media, more information about you.
At Founders Brewing, I'm assuming, or Founders Brewing Co.
I think it's www. I told you I'm old, right?
That's the first stop.
I think we're on all that. We do Facebook, Instagram. Yeah. I did a TikTok video today, so that tells you anything.
I thought you were old school, Jeremy.
Mira, foundersbrewing.com. Ahí está.
Ahí está.
Ahí está.
People can see it, people can get it. There it is.
Foundersbrewing.com.
And protect the environment. Important.
Yes. So, Arturo, ¿dónde te pueden conseguir, bebé?
Bueno, Arturo Ferrer en Facebook.
Chámalo.
Lo tengo por aquí.
Arturo
Dale,
Ferrer
ahí está, míralo ahí.
en Facebook y Instagram está Minimalist. Mira, con aquí.
Quique, cuéntame, ¿dónde pueden conseguir?
El mío ahí. Lo pueden leer.
Léalo.
La
Mira,
esquinita Jardín Cervecero.
mira, pues ya saben, apunten la fecha del 19, que es el lunes que viene, lo de la cerveza de Rochefort, ya lo saben, a las 1 de la tarde, y el 24 de agosto, otra vez, julio, 24 de julio, sábado 24 de julio, a las 10 de la mañana, en la esquinita Jardín Cervecero, esperamos verlos por allá.
Jole te va a dar, si tú llegas temprano, Jole te da el autógrafo.
Yo voy a estar allá y les doy el autógrafo y les doy el abrazo. Y los besos también si quieren, los besos y las besos, a mí no me importa, yo los quiero a todos, porque si te gusta la cerveza, igual que a mí, ya eres mi amigo, eres mi amiga, eres mi cuate, mi hermano, ya hay algo que nos une. Hoy estaba pensando que mi círculo de amistades más cercano que tengo ahora mismo es gracias a la cerveza. Los quiero mucho. Y pues a mí, pero otra vez, pero tengo que decir mis redes, pónmelas otra vez por ahí.
Ahí está.
Mis redes, mira, en Facebook bajo Ramón Lugo, en Instagram bajo Ramones Brew. Y a todos nos consiguen en Breaking News, Beer and Coffee. Será hasta la próxima. Salud. Y pesetas.
Jeremy, stick around for a couple seconds after the outro so we can take a screenshot with you.
Yes, perfect.
Jeremy,
Appreciate it, man. Thank you again,
everybody.
Thank you. Gracias a todos. Salud y pesetas. Nos vemos pronto allá en Puerto Rico. Los quiero. Los queremos, coño. ¡Ay!